according to Ayurveda, between the age of like 16 to 27, somewhere around there. Please forgive me, anyone who's in that age category.
No, Babuji,
That's called Rakshasha. That's the Rakshasha time of life. Why? You're the most beautiful, you're most strong. Yeah, you're right in the prime of your life, but it's Rakshasha because it's selfish. You're thinking only of what can I do to please my senses. And you forget about the soul. That's the general tendency during this time of life. So, what is the purpose of life? Is to get free from the bodily conception and to understand Krishnara Nityadas, that our identity is not American, not Indian, not Telugu, not Kannada, not Tamil, not Kerala, not Bengali. It is an eternally a servant of Krishna. That is our identity. And there's that sloka, when one gives up all these designations, and one gets established within the self, he is in true knowledge. Give up all these designations, American, Christian, Hindu, man, woman, young person, old person. These are all temporary designations. It's just like we pass, you come to America from India, and when you first come here, you rent an apartment. Correct? Everyone who's come from India, they didn't just come here and buy a house. All right? And then you rent, when you first come here, and you're just brand new, and maybe you've got your first job, you can afford a very low-income apartment. So you go stay in an apartment. And then you've stayed here a while, and then your income's a little better, and you feel a little more confident, and you can spend a little more money. Then you go to a better apartment. And then after some period of time, you put some money in the bank, and you're confident in yourself, and your green card's coming along. You're okay. I think I have a stable situation here in America. Now I think I'm going to buy a home. You take out a mortgage, and you put yourself in big debt, and that takes a lot of guts because 20 years of paying a certain amount of money every month to pay for your house, and you've got to do it, or if you don't do it, then they're going to come and take your house away from you. So then you go through that, and then your kids grow up, and then all of a sudden, you have a 4 or 5 bedroom house, and you're only occupying one room now. What's the time to do? Time to downsize. And then you go to a smaller house, and then you retire, and then you go to Vrindavan. Hopefully. At least Vrindavan in your heart. So we're passing through different, we're going from, boyhood or childhood to youth to old age, and going from being, a brand new person in it, from India and America, and been here a while, and then been here longer, and then going from a beginning apartment to a better apartment, then to a house, then to a smaller house. We're constantly changing. Things are always changing in this world. And there's the sloka in the second chapter. Macha sparshasta konteya, sitosna sukadukada, agamapaina manityas, tamsitiksha subharata. The non-permanent appearance and disappearance of happiness and distress are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O sign of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So this is our dilemma. We're in the material world, and sometimes good things happen to us, something so-called bad things happen to us. But if you take up the devotional path, there's everything that happens to you becomes an impetus to progress in spiritual life. You become inspired, just like maybe, you get an inheritance and all of a sudden you're financially stable in life. You no longer have to worry. You can pay off your mortgage. Like that's a big burden off your shoulder. There's actually Tanya Kapanet says there's 3 things that you must take care of immediately or they become worse. One of the things is fire. Another thing is disease. And the other thing is debt. So debt is actually not a very good thing at all, because it puts you under stress. And these long periods of being in debt it's not something that's in Vedic culture. This is a Western concept. Actually, I could say I'm very fortunate. I never took out mortgage. And I moved to Prabhupada Village approximately 30 years ago. And I had a job and I was working hard, but I didn't take out a loan. I worked hard and I bought a trailer and lived in a trailer. I paid $2,400 and I bought land and dug a well and where I am now and put a trailer on that land. And I went out and worked hard and I saved the money, saved. And then as soon as I felt comfortable, I designed a house. I didn't hire an architect. I did it myself. I did it on graph paper. The squares. Every square is 1 square foot. And I looked up the Vastu Shastra and I said, okay, the kitchen is in the southeast. The master bedroom is in the southwest. The puja room is in the northeast. So on and so forth. And I built, and I designed it. Then I hired devotees. At that time, some devotees, $7 an hour, $10 an hour, and the person who took charge and he had the expertise, $12 an hour. Now it's $50 an hour, at least. It's a lot different now. But anyway, the point is that you avoid as much difficulty in the material world as possible, but you can never avoid difficulty fully. Just like Prahlad Maharaj said, I forget the Sanskrit, but just as you go through life and without asking, you get sick. All right? And without asking, someone gets angry at you and gives you a hard time. You didn't ask for these things. They happen. Similarly, you don't have to ask. The good things will happen. You'll get an inheritance. You'll get a good job. Everything is happening according to your past activities. So you don't really have to be so concerned about your bank balance and your happiness index, high or low. These things will kind of like happen automatically in due course of time according to our past karma. What we do have control over is our devotion. That is what the human life is actually designed for. And so one is serious about spiritual life, he focuses on that. But at the same time, materially, he's on top of it. Just like in the Bhagavad Gita, what did Krishna tell Arjuna? Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmada yudhya mayarpita manobudhir mam aivasyasya sangsaya. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time fight. So in other words, what's Arjuna? He's a fighter, okay? And what are you guys? You're IT. Okay, so you have different occupations. Arjuna, he's a warrior, you guys are IT. So Arjuna, he's supposed to fight and think of Krishna. You guys are supposed to do your IT and think of Krishna. Or do your homemaking and think of Krishna. And do your schoolwork and think of Krishna at the same time. In other words, Krishna is saying multitask. In other words, do your duties in the material world. Go through what you have to do. You know, you have to learn your ABCs and 1 plus 2s and, you know, Christopher Columbus, you know, so-called discovered America at a certain date, you know, and, you know, all this stuff that they teach you in school here in America. And you go through that, but at the same time, you think of Krishna. Now, there's a sloka in the 9th chapter, Satatam kirtayantamam yitam tasya dhrijavataha namasyantastamam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. Endeavoring with great determination, always chanting my glories. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So this is what being a devotee means. It's perpetual. It's ongoing. It never stops. And you may be, you know, doing your homework, and then you come to a challenge, and you think of Krishna. Or you may be doing your IT, and you're focused on whatever you guys do. I don't understand it one bit, and I never will, and I don't really care.
That's good, bro.
But you know, you go through your challenges, and you think of Krishna, and then the challenges become insignificant. Because these challenges are very insignificant. What are our real challenges in this world? Who can say? What are the principal challenges we all have in this material world? Can anyone mention?
Birth, death, old age, disease.
Yeah, birth, death, old age, and disease. Okay, that's birth, death, old age, disease. These are challenges we all have. What are some other challenges we all have?
Human emotions.
Human emotions, yeah. Sex desire.
No.
That's a human emotion. Okay, that's okay. Also, we get unhappy when people ignore us. You know, different things happen. All right. So these are the problems, you know, we have in this material world. And Krishna gives the medicine. He says, you know, Satatam kirtayantamam nitantascha dridapataha. You know, always chant my glories. You know, endeavor with great determination. And then all these so-called difficulties, they will be insignificant. Just like, especially here in America, it's a big problem. You know, Americans, you know, the American men, they think they're the best sportsmen. They think that, you know, in America we think, you know, we're the best country. We're the watchdog of the rest of the world. You know, self-appointed watchdog. You know, we have to go to Israel, and we have to go to Syria, and we have to, you know, we think, you know, we have to go to Ukraine, and we have to be involved with every single conflict there is, and we lose one battle after the next. you know, and, you know, it's becoming a little embarrassing to be an American. If you identify yourself as an American, that is. But the point being is that we have to get free from these designations. And as one who's endeavoring in spiritual life, all these problems become insignificant. Just like in America, a woman, you know, they really fancy themselves as being very beautiful. But what happens in due course of time? Their beauty fades, you know? Their health fades. Their memory fades. Everything deteriorates in the material world. And it's like a woman who was in her youth very beautiful, then, you know, 50 years later, she looks in the mirror and it's like, I have to go get a facelift. It's like, the most important thing for me is to look good. And it's such a struggle because you cannot stay looking good forever. And the people that are happy are they just accept what is happening and focus on their devotion to Krishna. And then they don't look in the mirror anymore. You know, they say, oh, this is just, you know, that's not me in the reflection. You know, that's, you know, I'm spirit soul and I'm completely satisfied as a servant of Krishna.